War is a brutal and ruthless affair, where the stakes are high and the rules are often ignored. Throughout history, some armies have resorted to using dirty tricks to gain an advantage over their enemies, or to inflict maximum damage and terror. These tricks range from clever deceptions and psychological warfare to horrific acts of violence and cruelty. Here are some of the dirtiest tricks used in war and how they affected the course of history. World War II was a global war that involved most of the world's countries and resulted in millions of deaths and widespread devastation. The war saw the development and use of many new and deadly weapons, such as the atomic bomb, the V-2 rocket, and the kamikaze. One of the most unusual and secretive weapons of the war was the Japanese balloon bomb, or fugo. The balloon bomb was a hydrogen-filled balloon that carried a bomb or an incendiary device, and was launched from Japan to drift across the Pacific Ocean and reach North America. The balloon bomb was designed to exploit the jet stream, a high-altitude wind that flows from west to east. The Japanese hoped that the balloon bombs would cause forest fires, damage infrastructure, and spread panic in the United States and Canada. The Japanese launched over 9,000 balloon bombs from 1944 to 1945, but only about 300 were confirmed to have reached North America. The balloon bombs caused little damage and no casualties, except for 6 people who were killed by a bomb that exploded in Oregon in 1945. The balloon bombs were largely unknown to the public, as the US government censored any information about them to prevent the Japanese from gauging their effectiveness. One of the most famous tricks in war is the Trojan Horse, a wooden horse that was used by the Greeks to infiltrate the city of Troy during the Trojan War. According to legend, the Greeks pretended to abandon their siege of Troy and left behind a giant wooden horse as a gift for the Trojans. The Trojans, thinking that the horse was a sign of peace and victory, dragged it into their city. However, the horse was actually hollow and contained a group of Greek soldiers, who emerged at night and opened the gates for the rest of the Greek army. The Greeks then sacked and burned the city, ending the war. The Mongols were a nomadic people who conquered most of Asia and parts of Europe in the 13th and 14th centuries. They were known for their fierce and ruthless warfare and their mastery of horseback archery. One of their most effective tricks was the fake retreat, a tactic that lured their enemies into a trap. The Mongols would pretend to flee from a battle, creating the impression that they were defeated and vulnerable. Their enemies, eager to pursue and finish them off, would chase them for miles, often leaving behind their defensive positions and supplies. The Mongols would then turn around and launch a surprise attack, using their superior mobility and archery skills to decimate their exhausted and disorganized foes. The Mongol fake retreat was a brilliant way of exploiting the psychology and overconfidence of their enemies, and turning their strength into a weakness. It also allowed the Mongols to avoid direct and costly confrontations, and to win battles with minimal casualties. One of the most notorious and controversial forms of warfare is the use of biological and chemical weapons, which are designed to harm or kill living organisms through the exposure to toxins or pathogens. Some of the earliest examples of biological warfare date back to ancient times, when the Assyrians poisoned enemy wells with rye ergot, a fungus that causes hallucinations and gangrene. In the Middle Ages, the Mongols catapulted plague-infected corpses over the walls of besieged cities, spreading the deadly disease among the defenders. However, the modern era of biological and chemical warfare began in World War I, when the Germans were the first to use chlorine gas against the French in the Second Battle of Ypres, which caused panic and casualties among the Allied troops. The use of gas soon became widespread, and both sides developed more lethal agents, such as mustard gas, phosgene, and tear gas. The effects of these weapons were horrific, as they caused severe burns, blisters, blindness, choking, and death. The use of gas was condemned by the international community, and was banned by the Geneva Protocol of 1925. Despite the ban, some countries and groups have used or attempted to use biological and chemical weapons in war. For example, during World War II, Japan conducted experiments on human subjects with various diseases and toxins, such as anthrax, plague, cholera, and botulinum, at Unit 731, a secret facility in China. The Japanese also dropped bombs containing fleas infected with plague over Chinese cities, killing thousands of civilians. The use of biological and chemical weapons is considered a war crime and a crime against humanity, and is prohibited by several international treaties and conventions, such as the Biological Weapons Convention of 1972 and the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1993.